This is Boxing Tickets, and we are delighted to be joined with the machine, Dave Ryan. How are you, Dave?
I'm good, Steve. I'm good. How are you?
Struggling on, I guess we're starting to get into probably a busy period of Irish boxing. Obviously, I know you celebrated your 29th birthday this week, although it's probably in some ways probably not a birthday celebration for you because you're deep in camp.
No, no birthday celebrations. Cake is on hold.
I
But
guess
yeah.
I guess and obviously in sport and things like that, obviously particularly with the sport and stuff you're involved in, like has it just become sort of one of these things where you just know that birthdays sort of get put in the back burner? You know, you can never sort of plan when fights are happening. So obviously, involved in your martial arts career, did you sort of like has birthdays just sort of been like another day for you?
Yeah, basically another day. I've been doing it a long time, so we're well used to it. There's no difference between. There's no difference. It's a normal day. Everything's the same. You might get a few extra presents. That's about it.
And I guess obviously next year, obviously your big one, the big 3-0, obviously that's when you'll probably feel like you're becoming an adult nearly then.
No, I still feel about 18 and act about 18, so I've got another few years.
I think I'd be the same, and I'd be well past 30 now. You're obviously you're just under 3 weeks out now from your biggest fight as a professional to date. Like you're not even pro 18 months yet, and you're fighting in you're headlining obviously the JB Promotions card against Tony McGlynn for the BUI Celtic Super Lightweight title. Like, tell me obviously how you feeling. I guess you're obviously getting these big fights now, the fights you wanted. You kept saying, I'm ready for these step ups and everything else. How are you feeling just under 3 weeks out?
Yeah, feeling fantastic. Training's perfect. Everything's peaking. We're actually training very hard. It was great to come off a fight, have a week or two off, and then get straight back into training. I'm not going into camp unfit, so it's a bonus. Very confident about this fight too.
Like Tony McGlynn, obviously, he's probably similar to yourself in a way where, he's sort of not sort of had the rub of the green, sort of, so to speak. Sort of, he's sort of had fights, he's sort of, I think he's nearly 3 years out of the ring, sort of, from fights. Like, when you sort of look at the fight, I guess in some ways, like I know you'd said to me in interviews before, like you weren't really fussed on the Celtic title, you wanted to go up the Irish title, but the problem you had was because you hadn't fought over 8 rounds, you sort of had to have an 8 rounder first. So, like, I guess in some
Yeah,
ways, probably this fight maybe came out of the blue, sort of, because Senan Kelly obviously had the belt. Thankfully, he's vacating the belt, so he can fight for it. But he was looking to fight for an Irish title. Thankfully, he's
yeah,
vacating the belt now, which is obviously giving you his headline slot.
yeah. Look, just take what we get. Ian texts me. He goes, "Tony Glenn, 10th May." I goes, "Yeah, perfect." That was it. Dicing on the cake.
Like, what do you make of obviously Tony McGlynn? Obviously, as a fighter, obviously, I'm not sort of looking for you to diss them and things like that. But is it probably in some ways when you probably look at the super lightweight division, sort of it seems to be just similar sort of records in a way. I know he's 4-0 and you're 5-0, but it's a sort of it's an intriguing sort of one there for you.
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic fight for Ireland, Irish boxing too. We're both undefeated. We both want to win, and we both want to progress in our careers. So why not?
And this has probably given you probably your closest fight to home so far as well. So probably fair to say maybe you probably more support for this fight than you probably had for any of the others.
Yeah, kind of. It's a bit awkward. It's a Friday. You know, most people work Fridays. Dublin is 2.5 hours, 3 hours from where I live. Uh, I have got good support coming, but it's just a bit awkward with it being a Friday. Uh, Other than that, it's fine.
You seem very relaxed. I guess is that just is it I guess you're just born for these moments. Obviously, you've had probably bigger fights, in other aspects of obviously martial arts. Like you seem very relaxed and very composed. Is it just the fact that it's a Saturday? You're sort of maybe winding down, sort of for the week, sort of in some ways. Like you just seem totally unfazed by sort of what's about to come.
No, I'm not on phase. I know exactly what's coming. I'm just very confident in myself. and the way I've been training and the work I'm putting in. So that's why I'm relaxed. I know I'm putting the work in. I'm not stressing about all these other things where you don't need to. What at the end of the day, what's worst can happen? You lose, build up, go again. You know, I'm not looking at losing. I'm looking at pushing on straight after this. So I'm training my absolute heart and soul out for this fight every day, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I'm here in the gym again, like, so, you know, there's no difference. I'm constantly training.
And
That's why I'm
sort of,
so confident in the fight.
and when you sort of look at the fight, like how do you sort of see the fight playing out? Like, you know, I guess a lot of people sort of maybe talked on Tony McGlynn's talent. He's supposed to previously supposed to fight James McGivern for the lightweight Celtic title last year, and obviously it didn't sort of happen. Like, what when you sort of look at the fight, how do you sort of see it being? Do you sort of see it being like a chess match? Do you see it being, you know, how do you sort of envisage the fight sort of going?
Yeah, it's going to be a chess match until someone steps it up, and then once it steps up, the fight is going to change. I can box. People forget that I can't. I'm just going into fight. I can box, and I can fight. So he's probably the same. I don't really know too much about him. I know he's whatever, and he trains under Pete. That's about it. What he can do, I can do. You know, we both have two hands, so we will match whatever happens.
And like stepping up the 8 rounds as well. Obviously, I know you've had like, you know, when you look at pro terms, like you've had the more experience, sort of you've had more fights, you've had more rounds. Like stepping up the 8 rounds as well, is it sort of a case where you sort of really have to pace yourself sort of throughout the fight as well? Like I know sometimes you go an extra 2 rounds, you probably sparred more, but I guess that environment of the fight night and you know the small percentages can make a big difference. Obviously in the fight, like pacing yourself over 8 rounds as well. I'm guessing, obviously, you know, you maybe see it might not go the 8 round distance, but like it's pacing yourself probably for a fight as well.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't pace myself. I'd be fairly confident in my fitness, Steve. I've had 3 6 rounders recently, and I've breezed through my last fight. I didn't break a sweat. So 8 rounds is going to be no difference, you know. So an extra 6 minutes, it's not going to make too much difference to me.
And like when you look at the domestic level, obviously, I guess you know you have that ambitions, obviously, of fighting for an Irish title. Like, has anything been laid out to you? Obviously, I know probably it's more, you know, you become an opponent for Senan. Obviously, if you win, obviously for Tony, it's probably different because Tony and Senan obviously both share the same camp. Like, is that sort of
Yeah,
you're sort of looking at this and going, I know you're not going to look past the fight, but is that the sort of next gradual step for you then, Senan Kelly for the Irish title?
100%. Whoever's next for it. To be honest, I'll just fight who's there. You know, it doesn't make a difference.
Just doesn't care who it is. Just tell me the name, when it is,
No,
and ready to go.
tell me the name, give me the date. I'll be there.
And like you know, I guess the gradual sort of thing was, and it was looking like Lee Reeves was obviously supposed to fight Senan Kelly, and you know, there's a lot of rumors sort of going about it. Sort of maybe Lee might not be in the ring for a while. So like this sort of seems to be a fight that sort of can springboard you very quickly. Obviously past
Of
domestic
course.
level. Obviously won this. Obviously if you beat Senan Kelly, then you've completed domestic level.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
And that could be within 6 fights as well. Like obviously it's unmarked territory sort of in some ways. Like I know obviously you're Ian Gaughran, obviously with obviously Jamie Morrissey as well. Obviously he fought for Celtic and Irish titles within 6 fights. Obviously never won the Irish title a year ago today. Actually, that was the rematch.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Um, you know, so and like did you think of obviously becoming Celtic and Irish champion within 6 fights? It's unheard of.
Well, yeah, it is, but it's just do it. It's doable. It is very doable if you have the right team behind you and brain, and you can do it. You know, just put your head down and work what you got and what you want to do.
Like when you look at obviously this year ahead, sort of like did you obviously ever envisage it sort of you could potentially have these, you know, back to back sort of fights sort of in this year? We know what boxing's like in politics and everything else. Sometimes fights may not happen and things like that. Like, did you envisage it 2024 was going to be the year that you could have this big breakout within Irish boxing?
I did because last year it would have happened only if I picked up that injury. So I really was hoping and planning that this year was going to be as big as possible. So it's living up to all of the potentials now it is.
And like just under 3 weeks to go as well. Obviously, I'm guessing you're probably getting to the nitty gritty sort of parts of obviously camp. Obviously, you probably only have a couple of spars and things left. Like how obviously is the training been? Obviously, knowing that you're going into your biggest fight, you're headlining a card, like these extra pressures that can sort of maybe add to it. Like, has camp been going very well for you?
Camp has been going brilliant. I couldn't ask for anything better. It's all everything's been spot on. Same with the last fight. I was actually worried getting closer to the fight because everything was so perfect, and I was kind of like, "There's something going to happen here. There's something going to happen." But this fight has been spot on. This camp has been just as good as the last one, so even just as hard as the last one, and I'm fit going into this fight.
Becoming obviously the Celtic champion, obviously the 10th of May. You know, I know sometimes a lot of people would see it as their first professional title, as obviously as being where you then feel accomplished, you feel that you've done something. Is that what it probably feel like to you? Obviously, you'll then believe, you know, people maybe forget what you've done in the past in other sports, and now you actually go, Dave Ryan's a boxer. You know, Dave Ryan's not kickboxing, Dave Ryan's not this. You're actually a boxer now, and people will give you more respect through that.
Yeah, 100%. I still get called the kickboxer when I'm at home, and it drives me mad. They're like, "Oh, the kickboxer." No, no, that's well gone. But hopefully, it all changes after this fight.
And I guess with that confidence sort of as well, like, you know, we've seen your fights and obviously seen you sort of hands in and sort of want to have a war. Is that what you're sort of going to stand in the middle of the ring and obviously invite Tony McGlynn in for an 8 round dust up, standing on each other's toes?
If I have to, I will, but I can't box. You know, he's going to come to win too, so it's even better. You know, now you'll see the best of both. It's not just me on the front foot, me hands down. I can show a different side of me where I haven't really had to show yet.
Is it a good thing for you in a way where you haven't had to show everything you sort of have? Like you've been able to hide things away, sort of keep them for whenever you need them. It sort of people can't see other things that you have. Like we know that Pete Taylor and everybody in Tony McGlynn's team will be sort of studying previous fights, and if there's things they haven't been able to see of you, it's going to shock them come fight night.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, like every day you train, you learn something new. So like I've got plenty of tools to be Tony McGlynn.
Plenty of tools, obviously, it's a good thing, and you know, what obviously is your downtime sort of like? You know, like are you still training sort of this weekend and things like that? Like it's still as every day is a sort of training day. You sort of having time to relax. We're getting the good weather now as well, which probably can sometimes be good and bad things for camp.
Yeah. No, I prefer the good weather. You know, when you're going for a run, like it's a bit easier to get out and it's not raining, it's not cold. But this weekend I'll be still training. I'll have a couple of easy sessions. I've had a hard week, so just recovery training. That's all, more than anything now this weekend, and then back hard Monday, Sunday even. Today's Saturday, yeah. So back hard Sunday, Monday.
And obviously, in your own division, obviously with Shaun McComb, obviously fighting this weekend in tonight actually in America.
Yeah,
Like, you know, does that you sort of watching that fight? Maybe I don't know. You maybe not watch it live, obviously with training and everything else. But like, well, that obviously set goals for you. Then it obviously, you know, we know that people can come from. Paddy McCrory is probably a greatest example of that, where you can come from these small hall circuits and get to these big nights in boxing.
yeah,
Obviously, can watching cards like this obviously give you your dreams and aspirations to get to that stage yourself.
100%. If you're willing to work to get there, you will get there. You know, it's the same for all those lads. They're training day in, day out, grinding, and they've got there. So I don't see there's any difference in why not.
Definitely. Well, look, obviously, thanks very much for coming on, having a chat with us. We know obviously a couple of weeks out, so it's good sometimes to get a couple of weeks out rather than getting closer to the fight. But we'll be there obviously in person on the 10th of May. Obviously, it seems on paper as if it's going to be we're going to be treated to another Irish classic. Obviously,
Irish classic.
another Irish classic. Obviously, we've had plenty of them in the last couple of years with Farrell and Kerr. Obviously, the other week here, obviously, stablemates for you under
Yeah,
Ian Gaughran. Obviously, you've had Brennan Morrissey, you've had Cronin Morrissey, you have Tommy Hyde and Craig McCarthy recently there as well. Like, it seems to be that these all Irish sort of fights are what people are going to remember for years to come.
Of course, and it's great for Irish boxing because everyone fighting everyone. It just makes more sense.
Definitely, you'd rather obviously fight someone that's the same mentality sort of as you, sort of
Yeah,
in the journeyman. Sometimes that they don't come to win and sort of come to survive.
of
You know
course.
you're going to get the
Yeah,
best out of it, you know. But look, thanks very much for your time as always. As I say, enjoy the rest of camp. We'll no doubt see you in action on 10th of May.
thanks, Millen, Steve. We'll see you soon.
Cheers, Dave. Take care.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.